Zambia Decides 2026. Zambia Decides 2026. Zambia Decides 2026. Zambia Decides 2026. Zambia Decides 2026.
The address. Thank you.
Good evening, distinguished stakeholders, and thank you, Patricia. Before I invite the chairperson to deliver the address, may I render an apology for coming in later than we had announced. We were supposed to have addressed you, the chairperson was supposed to have addressed you at 1700 hours. But here we are, and it is my honor this evening to invite the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Mrs. Mangala Zalome, State Council, to address the nation. Chairperson, I invite you.
Thank you, CEO. Distinguished stakeholders, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, early this afternoon, the Commission issued a statement informing the nation of its decision to suspend with immediate effect the counting and announcement of election results throughout the country following reports of violence directed at poll staff and, in some instances, the theft of marked ballot papers contained in ballot boxes. In that statement, the Commission indicated that the suspension would be reviewed within 24 hours, taking into account the prevailing security situation. The Commission now wishes to provide the nation with an update of the situation. Following a review of the security situation and consultations with the relevant law enforcement agencies, I'm pleased to inform you and to inform the nation that the security threat to the electoral process has been contained and that the necessary measures have been put in place to enable the process continue. Further, the Commission is pleased to report that polling was successfully conducted at all polling stations across the country. The last polling station closed today, in the early hours of today, at 2 hours. We therefore wish to advise all stakeholders that the suspension of the counting and view announcement of results has been lifted with immediate effect. Further, the Commission will announce the first set of results at 22 hours this evening or tonight. As the counting and results management process resumes, the Commission appeals to political parties, candidates, their supporters, and members of the public to remain peaceful and to allow poll staff to perform their duties without interference or violence or intimidation. They should not be intimidated. The Commission reiterates that the safety of poll staff, the security of electoral materials, and the integrity of the electoral process remain paramount. Law enforcement agencies will continue to provide the necessary security to ensure that the counting and announcement of results proceed in a peaceful and orderly manner. The Commission also calls for patience and restraint as the process continues and reminds all stakeholders and members of the public that official election results are those announced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia in accordance with the prescribed procedures. Let me also take this opportunity to remind all the contesting presidential candidates or any other candidates and political parties that it is an offense under Section 89(1) of the Electoral Process Amendment Act number 32 of 2021 for any person without lawful authority to announce and declare the results of an election. We urge all candidates to desist from declaring themselves as the winners of these elections and allow the Commission to conduct its constitutional and statutory duty of counting, verifying, and announcing results. We wish to thank the people of Zambia for their patience, cooperation, and further acknowledge the efforts of law enforcement agencies in the maintenance of law and order. And lastly, poll staff for their unwavering commitment to duty. The Commission will continue to keep the nation informed as the process progresses. I thank you for listening. Thank you.
TIZ remains very deeply concerned about the escalation of electoral violence across the country. Through our monitoring, 152 incidents of violence have so far been recorded across 46 districts, including 16 incidents recorded during and after polling day. TIZ has further noted with very serious concern the ECZ's unprecedented decision to suspend the counting and announcement of election results across the entire country following reports of violence during the counting and announcement of results in some districts. According to the ECZ, the violence has targeted polling staff and in some instances resulted in the theft of marked ballot papers from ballot boxes. The Commission has indicated that the suspension takes immediate effect and will be reviewed after 24 hours. While TIZ strongly condemns any violence, intimidation, attacks on electoral officials, or interference with ballot materials, we are very concerned that a nationwide suspension of counting and results announcements in response to incidents that occurred in some districts is too broad a response and risks creating further uncertainty at an extremely sensitive stage of the electoral process. At this point in an election, transparency, continuity, and timely communication are critical to maintaining public confidence in the entire process. As we indicated in our elections update earlier this week, one of the key risks to the integrity of the election was always going to be the ECZ departing from standard practice and procedure. There is no doubt that this suspension is a clear departure from standard practice and procedure and has the potential to undermine the integrity of the entire election. Suspending counting and announcement of results across the country, including in areas where the process can proceed safely, risks fueling suspicion, anxiety, misinformation, and political tension among voters, candidates, and political parties. We do not understand why violence taking place, for example, in Chawama, should have an effect and cause the suspension of counting and announcement of results in Shangombo, for example. TIZ therefore urges the ECZ to urgently reconsider the nationwide nature of the suspension and adopt a more targeted approach, restricting temporary suspension.
Family, share this broadcast, share the broadcast, very urgent that we begin to discuss. There are many things happening at the same time, and there are many things that are happening at the same time, and I'd like us to join, share the broadcast, share.
Specific locations where credible security threats make counting or announcement of the results impossible. In unaffected areas, counting, verification, totaling, and announcement of results should be allowed to proceed transparently and without any further interruption. We further call upon the Zambia Police Service and other relevant authorities to secure polling stations, ballot materials, electoral officials, and totaling centers, and decisively deal with individuals responsible for violence, regardless of their political affiliation. Electoral violence must not be allowed to derail the democratic process or prevent.
Zambia Decides 2026. 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 Zambia decides 2026.
Election results throughout the country following reported incidents of violence in some districts. LAS recognizes ECZ's constitutional mandate to administer the electoral process and of course acknowledges its responsibility to protect electoral officials, voters and electoral materials. However, I need to be very quick to mention that the exercise of that mandate by the ECZ must at all times be within the confines of the Constitution, including the Electoral Process Act, and must at the barest minimum satisfy the principles of legality, necessity, rationality, as well as proportionality. There are a couple of things that, as an association, which is duly mandated to enhance constitutionalism and promote the rule of law, would wish to highlight. The first one is with respect to the association's unequivocal condemnation of electoral violence. And in this respect, LAS condemns in the strongest terms all acts of violence regarding or regardless of where that violence is emanating. And attacks on polling staff and the reported theft on marked ballot papers constitute serious threats to the integrity and credibility of the electoral process. And in this respect, LAS calls upon the Zambia Police and other relevant law enforcement agencies to secure affected polling stations, protect electoral personnel and materials, and promptly investigate the reported incident and bring all perpetrators to book. And persons responsible for the electoral violence must be dealt with firmly and impartially in accordance with the legal framework. The second thing that we wish to cover as part of this press statement includes the concerns over ECZ's reliance on Section 67, subsection 3 of its empowering statute, which is the Electoral Process Act number 35 of 2016. As I have already alluded to, the ECZ has placed reliance on Section 7, subsection 3 of the said Act as the legal basis for its decision to suspend the counting as well as the announcing of the result. It must be, however, noted that Section 67 must be interpreted in totality or as a whole, rather than merely focusing on subsection 3 as has been highlighted in isolation. The statutory framework as a whole requires the counting to commence immediately after the closing of polling and to continue until completion. Section 67, subsection 3 provides an exception, as it were, by permitting procedures relating to counting to be suspended within the approval of the Commission. The legal starting point in this respect is therefore the continuous counting, which is the rule, the legal starting point is therefore that continuous counting is the rule and suspension is actually the exception. The existence of a statutory power to suspend counting does not mean that the power is unlimited. Its exercise must maintain, or rather must remain, within the purpose, scope, and limitation contemplated by the legislation. The next theme that we wish to cover in this respect is the polling station suspension versus nationwide suspension. We wish to reiterate in this respect that the structure of Section 67 of the Electoral Process Act appears principally concerned with the counting of individual polling stations of vote, including the responsibilities of the presiding officer where counting is suspended. ECZ's statement itself indicates that violence occurred in some segmented district. This raises an important legal issue and practical question. Why should disturbances then occurring in some districts justify suspending the counting and announcing of the results throughout the entire country? The next theme that we wish to highlight is the notion of necessity versus proportionality. We wish to state as an association in this respect that even where ECZ has a legitimate basis to suspend the counting, the measure adopted must be necessary and proportionate to the identified threat. We, in this respect, call upon the ECZ to explain whether less restrictive measures were considered before arriving at the decision which has been communicated, which may potentially have included suspending counting only in affected polling stations as opposed to suspending in all polling stations across the country, or securing affected counting centers through enhanced police presence, or even isolating affected constituencies or districts, or perhaps allowing counting to continue in unaffected parts of the country. And we just wish to indicate here in trying to contextualize this statement that the suspension operates across the country, even in those areas where peace has actually been reported, which is something that as an association we obviously take issue with. The unlawful actions of individuals in particular locations should not unnecessarily prevent the millions of voters that turned up to vote elsewhere from having their votes counted or even processed. I wish at this particular juncture to highlight on the aspect of the fact that violence must not become a veto over the electoral process altogether. And in this respect, the Law Association of Zambia is particularly concerned about the precedent that could arise if violence in isolated areas only is capable of bringing the entire national electoral process to a standstill. Electoral violence must never become an effective veto over the democratic process. Such an approach, I must add, could inadvertently incentivize disruption by creating an expectation that violence in particular areas only can suspend the national electoral process. The appropriate response should, wherever practicable, be to contain the violence, secure affected areas, and permit the lawful electoral process to continue elsewhere. Distinction between the counting and announcing of results. ECZ's decision, which I have previously alluded to, contained in the press release, goes beyond suspending the counting process. It extends to suspending the announcement of the actual election result. I wish to reiterate further that Section 67, subsection 3, specifically concerns procedures relating to the counting of votes and not the announcement itself. The Electoral Process Act separately regulates the announcement and declaration of result, away from the state provision. The ECZ in this respect, therefore, should clarify the precise legal basis upon which Section 67, subsection 3 has been relied upon to suspend the announcement of results nationwide. This question, we believe, is particularly important in relation to polling stations and electoral areas where counting has already been completed and results have duly been verified. And any continued suspension should be supported by clear reasons and remain limited in both geographical and temporal scope. We wish to further implore the Electoral Commission of Zambia in this respect to guarantee the safety of all persons accredited to observe and monitor the counting of votes in various polling stations. And one of the key messages that we have this afternoon as an association, which is by way of reiteration, indeed, is the fact that LAS condemns electoral violence unequivocally, and it matters not where the basis or what the basis of that violence is, whether it is perpetrated by the ruling government or those in opposition. We believe that peace is of utmost importance, and we must all do our very best to ensure that we continue the peace that we have enjoyed for the longest time. Violence occurring in particular areas should not, without compelling legal and factual justification, result in the suspension of the electoral process throughout the country. Section 67, subsection 3, permits the suspension.
Good day and thank you very much. Sorry, we have to delay. We have to ensure that we verify the news. You must be preoccupied with the issue. Is the leading candidate, Brian Mundubile, okay? Was he picked up by the police or was he not? I answer that question. Brian Mundubile has been picked up not by the police, so the police spokesperson is right. The people that picked Brian Mundubile are a group of soldiers. They camped at his office in Kalundu at his main commercial office, and then they followed him to his house on Kudu Road in Kablonga. This has been acting like a secretariat meeting place during this period. Remember, his home is in Olympia, so they picked him up not from his home in Olympia, not from his office in Kalundu, his commercial office in Kalundu. They picked him up at his safe house in Kablonga. They were over quickly. That is the breaking news. Brian Mundubile has been picked, and he's been picked with his wife. So I wish to confirm to you that Brian Mundubile has been picked, and he was picked not by the police but by soldiers, and there were over 40 soldiers. A set had camped at his commercial office on Kalundu Road. The other one had followed him up to his safe house on Kudu Road. The commercial office in Kalundu also had soldiers. Among the people that have been picked includes, and we're trying to confirm, is first his wife and everyone who was in the house, because there were some children. So the President Mundubile was picked, and some people that were in the house, including Mr. Mwansa, who is a husband to Tasila Lungu. And another person that has been picked is his spouse. Mundubile's spouse has been picked. And the witness who witnessed this said it was a brutal sight to see in the manner they handled all of them. So I can confirm that is the development that we are running with. Brian Mundwile has not been picked by the police. He's not at Ibex Hill police station, but this afternoon he was picked from a safe house that he's been using as an office on Kudu Road in Kablonga. There were soldiers at his commercial office in Kalundu, and that I have spoken to various people that were in his entourage, some lawyers, and I had to take this long to verify. The video that you saw earlier that is circulating, that's an old video when he was picked from the airport and taken to Ibex Hill regarding the issue that, you know, is facing of passport when they kept his passport. That's an old video. You know how social media is, how to marry two stories to look realistic. We don't have any visuals or videos yet for the Kablonga raid because they had closed off the two roads and they were stopping every car and every inspection. We're lucky there's a neighbor who has also confirmed what he saw. I've spoken to one of the persons in the entourage. I've also spoken to one of the senior lawyers who also can confirm verily that Brian Mundwile has been picked. That's a news that we are breaking with, and so share the broadcast. We begin to discuss that. We don't intend to alarm anyone, but we intend to tell the truth. I cannot confirm if one of his bodyguards has died, and from the narration of the person that was witnessing this incident when they were being manhandled and being brutally taken, you know, to the vehicles, is that there was a lifeless person that was being carried by two soldiers, lifeless. So we don't know whether that could be the bodyguard. People are speculating he's dead or he was just knocked out. I can't confirm if he's dead, but at the stage they were picking him up, he was lifeless. So those are the details that we are dealing with this evening. Brian Mundwile, leading presidential candidate, has been picked, and he was not picked by the police, but he was picked by a set of soldiers, and he's not at Ibex Hill because they didn't go to Ibex Hill.
Following a review of the security situation and consultations with the relevant law enforcement agencies, I'm pleased to inform you and to inform the nation that the security threat to the electoral process has been contained and that the necessary measures have been put in place to enable the process continue. Further, the Commission is pleased to report that polling was successfully conducted at all polling stations across the country. The last polling station closed today, in the early hours of today, at 2 hours. We therefore wish to advise all stakeholders that the suspension of the counting and view announcement of results has been lifted with immediate effect. Further, the Commission will announce the first set of results at 22 hours this evening.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of propaganda going on. The times that they've picked other people and we've said they've been picked, the police and government have been quick to say they've not been picked. Sometimes it's to dissuade us. Sometimes they plant these stories against us. But on this one, the number of people I've spoken to, I can verily, unless someone calls me and say otherwise, but the witness statement that I got, let me just pick this call.
Right. As the counting and results management process resumes, the Commission appeals to political parties, candidates, their supporters, and members of the public to remain peaceful and to allow poll staff to perform their duties without interference or violence or intimidation. They should not be intimidated. The Commission reiterates that the safety of poll staff, the security of electoral materials, and the integrity of the electoral process remain paramount. Law enforcement agencies will continue to provide the necessary security to ensure that the counting and announcement of results proceed in a peaceful and orderly manner. The Commission also calls for patience and restraint as the process continues and reminds all stakeholders and members of the public that official election results are those announced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia in accordance with the prescribed procedures. Let me also take this opportunity to remind all the contesting presidential candidates or any other candidates and political parties that it is an offense under Section 89(1) of the Electoral Process Amendment Act number 32 of 2021 for any person without lawful authority to announce and declare the results of an election. We urge all candidates to desist from declaring themselves as the winners of these elections and allow the Commission to conduct its constitutional and statutory duty of counting, verifying, and announcing results. We wish to thank the people of Zambia for their patience, cooperation, and further acknowledge the efforts of law enforcement agencies in the maintenance of law and order. And lastly, poll staff for their unwavering commitment to duty. The Commission will continue to keep the nation informed as the process progresses. I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson.
thank you very much for joining us. And just a quick update. There's been a lot of confusion whether Brian Mundubile, the leading presidential candidate, has been picked or not. You've seen the statement from the police spokesperson. You've seen the statement from Tabo Kawana. But what I can confirm with you is that this evening, Brian Mundubile was picked, and it's just not him, and his spouse was picked. And it was not a pleasant sight by the people that saw the event. And they cited that among the other people they saw in the entourage is Mr. Mwansa's husband to Tasila Lungu, the former MP for Chawama, and spouse, to Mr. Mwansa, and daughter to the late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. And like I said, we are not here to alarm, we are here to tell the truth. And the verification layers have gone through to confirm this story. I think there is also propaganda at play, where they are planting stories like the story that came attached with a video, an old video, to discredit when we begin to tell the truth like this. And like I said, I cannot confirm if Banda, the bodyguard to Mr. Mundubile, was killed in the process, as people are saying. All I can say is the witness said there was a lifeless body being lifted. We cannot tell whether that lifeless body is dead or not. Here are the facts once again. There were a set of soldiers that turned up at Mundubile's commercial office in Kalundu, and there were soldiers fully armed, fully kitted, and some wearing red berets. From the explanation, they are saying they are commandos. But what I've noticed is that people sometimes mix military police and commandos because of just that red beret. You have to be kind of skilled between the two to tell the difference. So we don't know whether they are commandos or not, but from the description, they look like they are commandos. And when the person came, when they came to the safe house on Kudu Road, they found the road had been barricaded, not barricaded but the officers were stopping. They were asking, if you live on this area, they said they had an operation. And these two gentlemen witnessed the removal of Brian Mundubile from the house. And we also had an opportunity to speak to one of the neighbors who also witnessed what happened. So Brian Mundubile has been picked, and the government should not play propaganda. They should just tell the truth. That way, they eliminate speculations, they eliminate tensions in the country, they eliminate everything else when they tell the truth. When they do not tell the truth, like we say, nature hates vacuum, lies take over. PS, would you want to join me in the discussion? Are you free now? Are you settled, or are you done, or I can bring you in the evenings? Okay, I'll send you the link. Sorry, that's my co-host Chanda Kazia, former PS, is in Canada. And for those that have been watching the show, we've been doing the show together with Augustine Mukoka, Chanda Kazia, and we do the breakfast show to analyze events. Let's go to the issues of ECZ. ECZ suspended in a very uncharacteristic way, suspended the announcement, the counting of votes, and suspended the announcement of results. And over time, since morning, civic centers, which act as centers for collection of those results, have been taken over by soldiers. Again, the story of soldiers. It started in Mufulira when we received the alarm, and then in Chingola. And just this evening, even Civic Center in Lusaka has also been taken over by soldiers. Soldiers have no business in the electoral process. All they do is provide security. They cannot enter ballot booths. They cannot polling station. or in this case, collection centers. They are not allowed to do so. Result centers, but they took over. The Mufulira one was brutal because they grabbed even the Gen 20. Then we saw later in the day that permanent secretaries were writing to council secretaries in the provinces, council secretaries and town clerks, that they should collect all the Gen 20 and that officials were being dispatched to collect the Gen 20. We received this clarification from Chinsali, Nakonde, Mongu, Lundazi, council secretaries and others have been called that they should round up all the Gen 20 and someone was coming to collect it. Now the Gen 20 is the only proof you had at the polling station that these were the results, and it becomes extremely worrying if the Gen 20 are being collected, because you are removing the audit trail, you are removing the trace that these results at the polling station are what they were. Lucky enough, by the time they were moving in, it had been over 6 hours. At the polling station with 900 people, usually under 1,000, the count is done within 3 hours. When they were making all these decisions, it was 6 to 12 hours. It was extremely late. Most of those Gen 20 had already been dispatched to those people that are doing PVTs. And we had a clear picture, by morning about who is scoring where. So there's that futile exercise to grab the Gen 20. Just hold on, let me go for a short break so that I pick your call.
Zambia decides 2026. Zambians have settled on 2 candidates. Tongs Pamoja Alliance candidate Brian Mundubayo, who has emerged as a leading candidate facing off the incumbent and append leader, President Hakainde Hichilema. Join the debate as we give detailed analysis, opinions and information regarding election results. Zambia decides 2026. Zambians have settled on 2 candidates. Tongs Pamoja Alliance candidate Brian Mundubayo, who has emerged as a leading candidate facing off the incumbent and append leader, President Hakainde Hichilema. Join the debate as we give detailed analysis, opinions and information regarding election results. Zambia decides 2026. Zambians have settled on 2 candidates. Tongs Pamoja Alliance candidate Brian Mundubayo, who has emerged as a leading candidate facing off the incumbent and append leader, President Hakainde Hichilema. Join the debate as we give detailed analysis, opinions and information regarding election results. Zambia decides 2026. Zambians have settled on 2 candidates. Tongs Pamoja Alliance candidate Brian Mundubayo, who has emerged as a leading candidate facing off the incumbent and append leader, President Hakainde Hichilema. Join the debate as we give detailed analysis, opinions and information regarding election results. Zambia decides 2026. Zambians have settled on 2 candidates.
So we are glad with the pressure that was put. The Law Association of Zambia put pressure to the ECZ. They added a voice. Other people added voices to this illegal suspension. And the Law Association of Zambia put it very succinctly that ECZ didn't have powers even to use a case of violence to suspend, literally they were suspending the election, because election is a process. Counting, result announcement is part of the election, and they had no powers in the law to do what they did. And we saw that Mangala Zalumis, the chairperson, came and she says there will be results that will be ready at 22 hours. And like I'm telling you, with elections, when you close the poll at 6 o'clock, it's easy by 21 hours to have all the results. And just what delays is the getting of those ballot boxes from various polling stations, bringing them to the collection center. That's just what delays the process. But the results within 2 to 3 hours are known. This is 24 hours. The results are known. The president knows the results. ECZ have the results. The verification process is just that, the verification process. We know the clear picture in the country. There are various opinion polls, PVTs, parallel vote tabulation, based on the Gen 20 that is issued at polling station that have been done. I have seen four PVTs, and all of them are placing Brian Mundubile leading 51%, the other one 54%. The optimistic one was 58%. There's one that was extensive. Others were surveys where you put, your agents, not at all the 13,529 polling stations, but you pick a number that can give you, even when you postulate that it can give you an accurate prediction of who has won elections. So the 4 PVTs I've seen, all of them, I haven't seen any PVT that shows that President Hakainde Hichilema was leading. I haven't seen any. And there's, the institutions that have been doing PVTs in this election. And we understand why IBA stopped community radio station from announcing results that are taking place at polling stations, and in some cases at constituents. They put this so much pressure, and they wanted only ECZ to announce. But in the manner we've run elections in the last 4 years, in fact, if there is any team that ran a very perfect PVT, it was the UPND. They had perfected the system. They had been in opposition for a long time. And at every election they lost, they did a postmortem and improved on it. By 2021, the UPND was running one of the best PVTs. PVTs are not illegal. They've attempted to make it illegal and to stop any announcement until you literally outlawed PVTs. It's like people are agitated and they want to contribute. Let me open the phone lines and hear from you. We'll be waiting. Another point I was trying to say is that at best the results are ready. The ECZ can drag their feet and announce like they said on the 17th, or they can announce this evening, from my understanding and from my experience with elections. When we were extremely manual, the results were ready. The results, my PS, I forgot to, PS, I see you. Let me send you the link, you join me. Family, let me just add PS, I'd forgotten.
Candidates. Tom's Pamoja Alliance candidate, Brian Mundubile, who has emerged as a leading candidate facing off the incumbent and append leader, President Hakainde Hichilema. Join the debate as we give detailed analysis, opinions, and information regarding election results. Zambia decides 2026. Zambians have settled on 2 candidates. Tom's Pamoja Alliance candidate, Brian Mundubile, who has emerged as a leading candidate facing off the incumbent and append leader, President Hakainde Hichilema.
The address. Thank you.
Good evening, distinguished stakeholders, and thank you, Patricia. If I invite the chairperson to deliver the address, may I render an apology for coming in later than we had announced. We were supposed to have addressed you, the chairperson was supposed to have addressed you at 1700 hours. But here we are, and it is my honor this evening to invite the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Mrs. Mangala Zalome, State Counsel, to address the nation. Chairperson, I invite you.
Thank you, CEO. Distinguished stakeholders, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, early this afternoon, the Commission issued a statement.
PS, there have been various developments we've been monitoring. First, the announcement by Brian Mundubile that according to the information they have, he was leading and he used the word, we have won the elections, and he used the word that they had also won a good number of parliamentary seats, and he'd made demands that ECZ must publicize the results immediately. We saw shock reaction from ECZ. They switched off their website, and that was very uncharacteristic. And a statement came that they had suspended both the vote counting and the announcement of results. And then political pressure grew, and we saw, just an hour ago or so, the ECZ chairperson come to announce that she was reinstating, because remember, there were sporadic cases of violence, especially against sports staff, and all of them engineered by the UPND. All of them were by the UPND, nobody else. The famous Kalufianya was reigning terror in Lusaka. So there is no one else who could have stopped this other than the UPND. The state police were looking at it. It's like it was stage managed to achieve where we are. It's like the events are choreographed to be where we are. And she said she's coming to give final results at 22 hours Zambian time. Pick up your conversation, because I understand you have somewhere to go. So let's get as much thoughts from you as possible.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And I will start with what I was very proud of as yesterday, when the Chief Electoral Office, Kasaro, I was very impressed with him because he explained the process very, very well. He explained everything starts and ends at the polling station. We will just be moving ballot boxes into totaling centers, and everything will be done there. People can even get the results that were there. So that was what was very inspiring. And when people tried to push him in terms of trying to find out a few things, he was very categorical. He was categorical on the part of making sure that, people don't get pictures of what they're doing, and that will be against the law. So he was very categorical. Now, we first move forward, the elections start, people, vote, and people count, results start to coming up. And definitely that stakeholders have had presence at each and every polling station, and they are capturing these results as they are at the polling station, and they transmitted. So most organizations obviously had seen where the figures were and what the direction we were taking. That came to what, by midnight, people would speculate was one. We started seeing members of parliament, celebrations, and stuff like that. At that point, everything was going to book. And we saw that a few places definitely had a pocket of violence. We raised one alarm yesterday, Ambassador, about Kalufianya, to say, why is he let loose? Even today, when they suspended, they're not talking about arrests of the people that were disruptive. We complained bitterly here about his behavior and how he's an affront to democratic process. And we said ECZ needs to move on him using the police, definitely. And we questioned the army, that the army has nothing to do with electoral, violence, unless maybe it's a riot. But there was no riots yesterday. It was just a pocket of these people that were causing havoc. And today, the the former Minister of Foreign Affairs. I was glad with the statement. The statement was saying, oh, these are isolated cases and they are being handled. And that is what I was hoping that we should be able to deal with these isolated instances. Now, the other thing that came up was now all of a sudden we hear the suspension. The next thing, soldiers are moving in, rounding up recruiting centers, and now causing panic in the people. And then when President Mundubile announced that the information that we have is speaking to that there is a win, there is a substantial lead in the elections, and calling upon ECZ to announce the results because everyone knew what they had. Now, all of a sudden, things are twisting. Now we have been told, I don't know to what extent, Ambassador, that I've seen a posting that President Mundubile has been picked. Is that, can you confirm if that is the case? And is with his family?
I took a long time to come to the broadcast because an hour earlier, when the news broke out that he had been picked and taken to Ibex Hill, because the comment, the information was given to us just like that, and we posted the video at Ibex Hill, but immediately I looked at the video, I saw one of the lawyers who's not, I think, with us at the moment, and said you never know, maybe he's joined. When I began to make the call, I realized that's an old video. We dropped the video, and we dropped the video. Let's see if he wants to speak.
Please go ahead.
Kanabe samule for kulanda po. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue, my brother.
Yes, as we are waiting for Honorable Kambwe. The other thing that now we saw coming in is all of a sudden we're seeing videos. I don't know if that is AI or Trevor Mwinde. That is what is doing. But I found it online. Yet I don't know. It's an allegation. I have no proof for it other than what I saw on one of the media platforms. Sorry, PS. This is what I want to confirm with you, that I came delayed to broadcast because I was verifying that information, and I spoke to various people, and I was privileged to speak to 2 witnesses. So President Mundubile has been picked not by the police, he's not at Ibex Hill, but he's been picked by a set of soldiers. He was picked from Kudu Road. He has a safe house in Kudu Road where he has been using it for meetings during this period of elections. So he's been picked. We should start from that fact. It's no longer speculative. I can confirm strongly here that he was picked up, and he was picked up with his family, and we understand Mr. Mwansa. I've requested that if Mr. Mwansa himself is okay, he can quickly tell us, but Mr. Mwansa was at the residence at the time. Wow. Okay, now your volume is gone, Ambassador. You don't have the volume, Ambassador.
Huh?
Okay.
No, I can hear you very clearly.
Right. I couldn't. So, that is now a different dimension to the conversation. Because now when we saw the military go in, they started rounding up all these, tallying centers, and the ECZ make an announcement. And I am surprised about on the coincidence. The coincidence of having the violence in pocket places, suspend the entire country, announcement, then come back and say, oh, now we are set, we're going to continue. The next thing that we have to see is now they pick the leading presidential candidate, according to the information that was given. The next thing that we had is a video, that audio. I would want to hear their confirmation, whether it's AI or whether it's not. The audio about Trevor Mwinde with the rigging machine of the military. He brings out very damning things. I hope the UPND should be able to clarify that and give a position on it. Otherwise, it doesn't look good for that. Then the picking up of President Mundubire in a manner it has been done, it might be very difficult to actually start to have faith in the electoral process. You see, he is a person of a fixed abode. If they wanted to arrest him or wanted to do that, it's important that this pursuing of people on the roadside with guns take them to unknown places. I don't know where he is right now. We want people to look up for him and find him. Yeah, so I'm worried about that. And I think what has been seen here has never happened before in the history of this country, where the chain of reaction on the things, especially when there is a threat that there is a leading candidate and who is Brian Mundubire, people have spoken. Can government come clean? Tell us where Honorable Mundubire is. Tell us where you have taken him. Tell us what wrong he has done. Tell us what you intend to do, so that, if there's a legal recourse to be done, it should be done. Don't come and tell us after you have done a lot of wrong things. It's not healthy. It's not helpful for the country.
PS, I think let me play the video by the CEO of ECZ. Yesterday, he was forced to come in the evenings to explain how results are delivered and announced to the country. And I thought that he had a lot of good points. Because, we saw speculations, remember what we were saying yesterday, where Mao Sampa was saying, President Hakainde Hichilema was leading in Gwembe with 80,000 votes, when there are only about 27,000 voters in Gwembe. No, President Hakainde Hichilema is leading with 90,000 in Ndumwezi, when there are about 35,000 voters there. So, there were all these, even our dear brother, the vice president, former vice president, joined in the fray. But I was glad to see the statement by ECZ in the night yesterday. Just pay attention to it, listen to it.
The count takes around 6 hours, because you're not just counting the presidential ballots. There are 3 other elections to be counted. So we do not expect that they would have finished by now to count. And after that they are finished to count, then they would have to go to the respective constituency centers. So we will begin to see polling station results throughout the night. But at this point, we cannot give a specific time when the Commission will give the first announcement when it comes to results. What we can assure you is that we will give regular updates, and the Commission has committed that it will release the results in accordance with a timeline, and ensure that that declaration is made within the 72 hours. So please rest assured that we will be with you together here at the National Results Center, and where we need to give an update, we will give an update, and when results are available, those will be announced. But also you can rest assured that during this window, you will not necessarily be totally in the dark, because, as I indicated earlier, the announcement at polling station is in public domain, as well as the announcement at the constituency centers. I think that also addresses the last question in terms of when will the Commission give us figures. Given the trends we have seen, we can begin to raise our confidence that tomorrow we should be able to share some results. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. I'm just quickly looking around. So 2 hands just in that row. Please just go at the back where the podium is. the three of you together so that we can get the question.
Counting the presidential ballots. There are 3 other elections to be counted. So we do not expect that they would have finished by now to count. And after that they are finished to count, then they would have to go to the respective constituency centers. So we will begin to see polling station results throughout the night. But at this point, we cannot give a specific time when the commission will give the first announcement when it comes to results. What we can assure you is that we will give regular updates, and the commission has committed that it will.
You see, Ambassador, I can't hear you. Okay. If I can go ahead.
Sorry, just be patient. Let's take this call. Let me put you on speaker. And quickly alert me when when my volume has gone, because I have to mute to do some work here. And sometimes I'm forgetting. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, my name is Chishimba Kambwili.
Mwafyash Mwabombe Nlandenipo.
I'm crying Mwabombe.
Ndita. Mwafyashi, Bushena Muina.
Yeah, to achiwina tuleli dinga febwino wino basa shimia malaiti. Ama polling stations yonse all of a sudden had never to win. Bali tuwela kaliokwe at if there is anybody they don't want to go to parliament is Chishimba Kambwili. So what has happened is Mingalato Eka.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm always targeted in this country. I really don't understand why I'm targeted. All of a sudden at Vawi never UPND. And you can't imagine that of all the places Ron constituents can vote UPND when the suffering is
at its
on the right in war. Everywhere you can see that people are just telling lies. So
Bakalamba twafwe niko ififire chitika ififya kuisiz you've participated in elections from I remember 2004 when you came to parliament after you took over from Cameron Point. You've been in parliament, you've participated in elections. Begin from there, then twalachta end nefyaba brand mundu.
I issued a statement on my Facebook page to say in the midst of announcing election results, you just come up and say to suspend the announcements and the counting for the whole country. It has never ever happened in the history of this country. If they were saying that there is violence in some areas, they could have excluded those particular areas rather than taking a blanket decision to stop counting and also stop announcing the results in all the polling stations. The most likely thing is that they want to do Imingalato, but God is there. God watches his own children and watches all of us. You see, it is just good that the Zambian people are late, and I can only advise those in power to say that, look, when the time to leave comes, you should just live peacefully. This country has been very peaceful, and we want it to continue as such. But to try and cause confusion so that people can erupt into a confusion of violence is very, very unfortunate. I'm glad that 18 hours again they've announced that they've continued voting after pressure from the Zambian people. Please, I want to appeal to all the Zambians to be calm and don't burn this country. Don't involve yourselves in violence. Let's wait and see where these people are taking us. And now coming to the issue of Brian Mundu, I've just confirmed with the family that he has been picked. And one wonders why Tabo Kawana could be telling lies, a PS. And that young man, Tabo Kawana, I feel sorry for him. Because as a civil servant, he's supposed to act above board. He goes to a police station, particular police station, and tries to deny that no, it is not true. And even the police spokesperson issues a statement that it is not true. It is true. I have spoken to one of the family members and they've confirmed that he has been taken to police headquarters. But now you can see, ubushiku, umukote alubile, ele chimbwi cha nyemfwi. Batila chimbwi echidiri omukote. So when people are suspecting that you want to rig the elections and then you do exactly something that is similar to rigging elections, people believe that this is aimed at rigging elections. So Brian Mundubile has been picked. And me, I knew, immediately I saw Tayari in the afternoon saying, no, what you have done, Mundubile, is an offense. You end up being arrested. I knew that he was just sent to send a narrative so that the people of Zambia, when it happens, can say, no, he has committed an offense. Look, declaration and he's saying we have our own PVT are two different things. When somebody declares himself, he would say, I therefore declare myself as president-elect. Mundubile did not say he declares himself as president-elect. He just said, according to our PVT taken by our party functionaries, we have won these elections. Winning an election and declaring the winner are two different things. So there is no way you can say Mundubile declared himself as president when he just said our party PVT. And Hakainde Hichilema, while in opposition, even in 2016, also did the same. He said, according to our figures, we have won the election. So what is good for the geese must be good for the gander. This country, I really don't even understand those people who support the UPND, because it is there for everybody to see that they don't mean well. So Mundubile has been picked up, and I think this is very unreasonable, unfair, and out of this world. So we can only appeal to the police, please release Umwana Wawe. Release Umwana Wawe and give us the results. Every year, when there are elections, we see that from time to time the ECZ will come and announce the results as they come in. What is so different this year that they say, no, we are only going to announce the results on the 17th? In any case, all the radio stations and TV stations have been warned by IBA, Independent Broadcasting Authority, not to announce any results. By now, we could have been saying that the likely winner is such and such, because all radio stations and TV stations do announce the results as they come in. But now, this year, they've been told not to do that. Even if we don't think, we can add 1 + 1, and obviously the answer is 2. So you can see that these people have lost the elections and they must just concede defeat. What has happened to me in non-constituents is something that nobody can even think of. But anyway, nobody throws a stone towards a tree or on a tree that has no fruit. I understand what I've gone through and what they want to push me through. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. PS, offer your opinion.
Yeah, my goodness. You see, it's difficult when you have lived a life, participated in elections, observed elections as a young man. I was part of the people that brought in ushered democracy in 1991, and I've lived through that. And when you see things like this deteriorate, you just wonder, where are we heading to as a country? And this is to the Zambians. If the Zambians say it is okay Pirabaran that, when the lion comes and eats a mad person, people don't pay attention to it. It will eat another one until it eats the head of the house. It eats the father or whatever, then things start talking. This is what is going on. There is no way the police should be allowed to do what they're doing. And I feel bad for the people doing it. Because in this world, you will be identified ultimately when the time to hold you accountable comes in. There are procedures on how people must be arrested. There are procedures in terms of how you handle a very high profile, a possible president. You can't just pick him in the manner they picked him. And then when I was reading the posting from Honorable Makebi Zulu, he was picked from military with over 40 soldiers and other security personnel were present and brutalized him. He and his wife, as he lifted them, threw them in the vehicle. Now, when 40 soldiers show up, one of the things, are they expecting that they're going to find people with guns that are going to fight them, to arrest? No. In Zambia, we don't do that. President Mundube doesn't do that. If they wanted him, a call out would have just issued to him to say, come to the station, come and explain yourself. And I think he's a law-abiding citizen. He would have gone there to get him an interview. But to get him and not to know where he's gone, it's dangerous. Then number two is that you have people that will say something in public, and then because it's so absurd, like we are not paying attention to it because no one thinks it can be done, and then all of a sudden you find it's done. And that is a very serious concern for the democratic process of our country. We must start asking questions. Is this the Zambia that we want? Today, it is Honorable Brian Mundubile. Tomorrow, it will be another person. The other day, it will be another person, until the voice of democracy is completely quenched. The difficult part is this. If this is allowed and it goes on, let's say the president wins and we allow it, okay, it's fine, he's won it, he's sworn in, we can't talk. He is now president. And that is why they want to take us. He's president. And now it will be the question of, now let's sit down and reconcile. Let's sit down and resolve these things. There will be no voice. The voices that we are talking with now, we will not be there. And that is why it is important for the civil society, the church, the faith-based organization, they need to jump on this and stop it, because you have a voice that is in numbers. If you jump on this and demand accountability, we need to demand accountability from government. This is not the Zambia we want. This is not the Zambia that people fought for. We have always been a democracy. We always treasure saying things the way we want to see them. You shouldn't be disappearing because you've spoken on something that incenses the people. When you say, the Honorable Kambila has put it in a very clear terms. There's a difference in saying, now I declare myself this as the president and things like that. Swearing yourself in, that is different. But when you say from the information that he has, if it's wrong, ECZ corrects with the right information, but not to react with a disappearance. And we have seen some statements that are coming from people that are not even Zambian nationals, who would wish to kill him, who would wish to pick him up. And then we see that happen. Why would you do that? I think President HH needs to live above this. He's better than this. He is suffered at the expense of, his political career. He came with a hope, with a message that I would be different. But to start towing the line even to another level is very disheartening.
Ambassador, Ambassador, can you hear me? Hello? Ambassador, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I'd muted. I'd muted. How are you?
Ambassador, I'm not fine. You can see I just had to excuse myself and come in the car just to talk about something, you know.
Please share your views, Doc. I don't know. You are displacing one another. Let me generate. Another. I see what's happening. The two of you are displacing. You are using one key. So just give me a moment. We resolve that issue. I've got. Let me just go on a short brief. Yeah, you two are replacing each other. So what we do is, PS Chanda, don't join. I'll generate a queue for you. Let me generate a new queue for you. Don't join. It's like you are sharing one key. But Doc, since you are at the hospital, please proceed to make your views.
Yeah, so Ambassador, what I've heard is very disturbing. I'm from talking to someone, and I want the people to know that actually the person typing those is not Monduvile or his media. What has happened is that when they went to his house,
Hello, just a minute. Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc. Oh, we lost Doc again. Let me just resolve this issue of the key.
Release the results in accordance with the timeline and ensure that that declaration is made within the 72 hours. So please rest assured that we will be with you together here at the National Results Center, and where we need to give an update, we will give an update, and when results are available, those will be announced. But also, you can rest assured that during this window, you will not necessarily be totally in the dark, because, as I indicated earlier, the announcement at polling station is in public domain, as well as the announcement at the constituency centers. I think that also addresses the last question in terms of when will the commission give us figures. Given the trends we have seen, we can begin to raise our confidence that tomorrow we should be able to share some results. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. I'm just quickly looking around. So 2 hands just in that row. Please just go at the back where the podium is. The 3 of you together so that we can get the questions. Do remember to introduce yourself as you ask the question.
Good evening. Kasson Demwenda from Tonse Alliance. Would not want to trivialize your answer. We really appreciate your communication. But being stakeholders, we feel it will be good if the responses you give are not that which are just pushed down us, but one that we can reasonably agree together, because giving us an answer that you will come when, I think it's unfair, because this is the middle of the night. We need to plan. Some of us have prepared to sleep here and wait. But if you make it all about you, about when you'll be ready, when you come tomorrow, can be even up to midnight tomorrow, it will still be tomorrow. So we would beg of you to consider our state here. We have to prepare what we are going to eat. Should we sleep here? Should we disband? Should we go home? And if we leave, then we hear in the middle of the night you came and gave some results. There are other people we're representing. So we are begging you, in the interest of the people of Zambia, that give us timelines we can prepare and plan. help us plan. We are not forcing you to give us dates and times which are unrealistic, but help us with information that we can use productively. Are we going to hear from you at 12 hours? So that we come back at 12 instead of staying here the night and then you come at 18 hours, we would have wasted our time. So with all due respect, we are asking you, can you give us time we can work with and plan? Thank you.
Good evening, CEO. My name is Kennedy Chanda. I'm coming from Hope for Human Rights Association, a member of the Tonse Alliance. In as much as I appreciate your response regarding to the incident that took place at the University of Zambia, I would like you to make a clarification to the public as to whether the Commission has certain situations where they could allow a polling station that had already been closed to be reopened for people to be to cast their votes. Thank you very much.
Good evening, CEO. My name is Walia Nondo, a bona fide citizen of this republic. Sir, there is a picture that has gone viral on social media of a former member of parliament for Matero, who is Maus Walia Sampa, capturing himself inside the polling station. And earlier, in your address to the nation, you made mention to say it is illegal, it's a crime for anyone to do such a thing. My question is that, have you reported Maus Walia Sampa to the law enforcers for the law that he has broken? Thank you very much.
Thank you for those 3 questions and need for clarification. I will request the CEO to respond to the issues.
Thank you so much for those questions. First from Mr. Mwenda, that I think in being not specific, my attention was drawn to the questions related to results. So it is with respect to results that that response was given to indicate that at this point, it is not possible to give a very specific answer to the stakeholders that the Commission will begin to announce results at a particular time tomorrow. What I can indicate to the stakeholders here present and the nation through the media is that tomorrow morning we will have an update. There will be no announcement of results tonight. So we'll not expect anyone to spend the night here in the National Results Center, much as it is a very lovely place. But we will not have any announcements of results tonight. Tomorrow, if we get the results earlier, the brief, maybe the announcement of results itself. But otherwise, we will still, in the morning, mid-morning, give an update as to the receipt of results as we continue to monitor the count, rather the close and the count of votes at the respective polling stations around the country. The second question was in relation to the authority of the Commission vis-a-vis voting times. So the Electoral Commission has the mandate to prescribe the voting times and where necessary the required extension, as it were. You may wish to refer to Section 50. Section 50 of the Electoral Process Act for details over the same. The last question, I must honestly say I've not yet seen the picture in question. Nonetheless, what was stated earlier remains that The law is very clear around the disclosure of one's voting by way of capturing the picture and sharing that is an offense. So this photo in question or the information in question has not been brought to the attention of the Commission yet. But I once again to repeat, it remains an offense to do that which we highlighted earlier around disclosing how one voted by getting a photo of the ballot paper and sharing it publicly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished stakeholders, for having stayed with us up to this time. I can see my work.
We may have to leave you to go to your station. You're at the hospital, and thank you for making time. And you said you wanted to comment. If there are names being mentioned, just be careful not to mention them. Come back, we agree which names we can mention. So just be careful, you're alive, and that's a confirmation I just wanted you to, as you speak. Give us what you wish to say.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ambassador. So the thing is this. Brian Munduvile was raided at home by the military. And as you may be aware, when the military get you, they are usually brutal. So they were very brutal. They got his children, and they also got him together with other family members. Yes, there were shootouts. I can't confirm who died or if somebody died, but I can confirm that indeed he was gotten by the military, and they are in Arakan barracks as we speak. Now, here is the thing. Zambians need to remember very well. In 2021, we had elections. Kungo was killed. We had other people who were brutalized and their houses were destroyed in Southern Province. ECL never went to this extent of unleashing the military on innocent lives. There are a lot of people who've been in the military before, and they would agree with me because I also have that experience and that background. So I do understand what I'm talking about. You can't unleash the military on innocent people, because when the military come, they come with brute force. The training that the police go for is different from military training. So the police are trained to interrogate and do everything. If you take the military and say they are the ones interrogating someone under military jurisdiction, that is very different. Because you see, the way it is that the military don't operate under civilian laws. For them, it's civilian plus the military code of conduct. So when they take you to a military court, like what they are doing to Munduvile, the civilian laws don't matter. And that's what Zambians need to understand, and they need to take this very seriously. Because whatever we believe to be the law of the land doesn't apply in the military. They can do anything, they can use any means necessary to get Munduvile to confess, retract, apologize, or even stop whatever he's planning to do. So from now onwards, as long as Munduvile is under their custody, whatever you are seeing on Munduvile's page is not a reflection of Munduvile. I know what I'm talking about. Whatever you will see will be a reflection of the people who are having the phones, and those people are now in charge. So they will write a lot of things from now going forward. Unless you see Munduvile himself speaking, I would advise that let's not read what is being written on Munduvile's page, because the information which is verified, which we have, is in Arakan barracks at the moment. Now, how did we end up here as a country? We are one of the most respectable countries in Africa when it comes to democracy. How can we have such an instance where the military are moving all over the country? Zambia has never experienced this. I can assure you, Zambians, it was a terrible mistake in 2021. And it was a very terrible mistake if any Zambian among those who exercise their democratic right to even go ahead and vote for this person. Because this person doesn't love Zambia at all. He doesn't care about Zambia. What he wants is power, and he is able to do anything by any means necessary to get that power. So I would advise people to be calm, because a person like him is able to kill. A person like him will be able to destroy. So we don't want people to lose lives. Please keep calm, but at the same time be vigilant. whenever they are doing these vote counts, because now during this confusion, they are going to go and stuff the ballots. So I would advise our people not to leave the polling stations, not to leave the totaling centers, to be there. And we already received reports that because of this confusion, it is all a planned circus. Once they see that all of us are focused on BM8, they are now going to start stuffing the ballots. Already they have done a lot of stealing, but what is remaining still is too much for them to win. So they still have a lot of work to do. So I urge our supporters, all the supporters for Tonse and those who love Munduwile, please, if you can find time, be in those totaling centers. Don't leave. If you can exchange, because we know people are fatigued. It's been 3 days. They have been waiting and there is nothing. So please be there and let's pray for Munduwile, because we know that once he comes out of that military, it is not going to be an easy thing. And we do know also that the kind of things that he's going to undergo there are not things that people go through when they are under the hand and in the hands of the police. Every well-meaning Zambian at this point should unite for country, please. There is no way we can continue playing politics. This is above politics. Nobody should be able to lose a life, and nobody should be able to be subjected to military torture or military interrogation just because they are exercising their democratic right. Munduwile hasn't done anything wrong. If I recall very well, the UPND had their own PVT from 2016, 2011. They kept on saying our PVT shows that we have won. Our PVT up to now, even when ECO won elections in 2021, the UPND didn't accept that he was president because Hakainde Hichilema was saying that ECO stole his results. But did ECO arrest Hakainde for that? Did ECO unleash the military on him? No. You can differentiate the two. And you can see for yourselves that indeed we've got a wrong person in State House. And if this continues, but I can assure the Zambian people that Munduwile is not going anywhere. Munduwile will be safe because all of us here will do whatever we can. We are already contacting the White House. We are already contacting all the contacts we have. And we are going to do whatever it takes. So that's what I wanted to say, Ambassador. Let the Zambians keep calm. This battle will be won very soon. They shouldn't worry so much about it. Ambassador, are you there?
Oh, thank you for those thoughts. Doc, I'll let you go. I don't know how much time you have. Are you on break or? But you should join us for the breakfast show.
Yeah, I'm on break right now. I took some break for 30 minutes. I said there is an important issue of national importance that I needed to handle. That's why I had to come. Because this is very important, Mwamba. You see, there is no place like home. And it touches us. Like when things like those are happening, it is very disturbing indeed.
Yes, thank you. So let me look for Chanda Kazia. He has disappeared. The connections, I don't know, when you are doing things in emergency. Yeah. So let's run with this. Just a minute.
Informing the nation of its decision to suspend with immediate effect the counting and announcement of election results throughout the country following reports of violence directed at poll staff and, in some instances, the theft of marked ballot papers contained in ballot boxes. In that statement, the Commission indicated that the suspension would be reviewed within 24 hours, taking into account the prevailing security situation. The Commission now wishes to provide the nation with an update of the situation. Following a review of the security situation and consultations with the relevant law enforcement agencies, I'm pleased to inform you and to inform the nation that the security threat to the electoral process has been contained and that the necessary measures have been put in place to enable the process continue. Further, the Commission is pleased to report that polling was successfully conducted at all polling stations across the country. The last polling station closed today, in the early hours of today, at 2 hours. We therefore wish to advise all stakeholders that the suspension of the counting and view announcement of results has been lifted with immediate effect. Further, the Commission will announce the first set of results at 22 hours this evening or tonight. As the counting and results management process resumes, the Commission appeals to political parties, candidates, their supporters, and members of the public to remain peaceful and to allow poll staff to perform their duties without interference or violence or intimidation. They should not be intimidated. The Commission reiterates that the safety of poll staff, the security of electoral materials, and the integrity of the electoral process remain paramount. Law enforcement agencies will continue to provide the necessary security to ensure that the counting and announcement of results proceed in a peaceful and orderly manner. The Commission also calls for patience and restraint as the process continues and reminds all stakeholders and members of the public that official election results are those announced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia in accordance with the prescribed procedures. Let me also take this opportunity to remind all the contesting presidential candidates or any other candidates and political parties that it is an offense under Section 89(1) of the Electoral Process Amendment Act number 32 of 2021 for any person without lawful authority to announce and declare the results of an election. We urge all candidates to desist from declaring themselves as the winners of these elections and allow the Commission to conduct its constitutional and statutory duty of counting, verifying, and announcing results. We wish to thank the people of Zambia for their patience, cooperation, and further acknowledge the efforts of law enforcement agencies in the maintenance of law and order. And lastly, poll staff for their unwavering commitment to duty. The Commission will continue to keep the nation informed as the process progresses. I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Let me get your views about ECZ. I know you came on the issue of Honorable Brian Mundubile. Speak to the issue of ECZ and just the shenanigans that have been going on.
So, Ambassador, we always warned about having cadres at the ECZ. When you look at what's happening today, this is the ECZ made up of people who even know that they are only here as long as Hakainde is there. They are not like the ECZ we used to have in the past of people who would transcend, different governments. We had people like Irene Mambilima, who was ECZ chairperson even during the time Sata was in opposition, but Sata still maintained her because of her professionalism until she later died. And she those are the people we need to have in our society. When you look at the kind of ECZ we have at the moment, it's the ECZ that only favors the ruling party because they are cadres and they are party members. But even as they are party members, these are people who cannot even pretend for a second. They can't pretend for a second to say, I'm going to be professional. They act the same way we've seen cadres like Tawo Kawan and others who are in government, who are talking like they just represent themselves and the party. So this ECZ, from the word go, I knew that this ECZ and every Zambian knew it was not going to deliver according to expectation. However, we never expected that they would go this far. We never expected at one time they would even cancel the elections. Because you see, the fact that they had to pause, they are capable of cancelling everything. They had to pause when it was the UPND that was perpetrating the violence. The UPND went and stole the ballots. They stole the ballots in Chawama, in Mandevu, and they were throwing the ballots because they knew Mundubile had already won. Now, Zambians need to ask themselves, if this government had won an election, do you think they can be pausing the election? Do you think they can be harassing Mundubile? Why wouldn't they just go ahead and announce the results? Then they can arrest him later. If they had won, that's the simple logic. If Hakainde knows that he has won the election, there's no need to arrest Mundubile today because he would know that he will be president tomorrow. He can prosecute him afterwards. But he knows that he has lost, and because he has lost, he is trying to do everything he can while he's got some power left with him. That is number one. Number two, if this government had won an election, they would have not even lied about anything. They would have told the ECZ to go ahead and fast track the election results, and after that, they would have now made sure that they provide their own cadres to start championing their narrative like they have always done in the past. Whenever they do something, they use their cadres and they start parroting everything that the president wants to say. But as usual, when people come out and they reject you in masses, it's very difficult to rig. So the only way these people can win an election is if they were able to win at least 4 or 5 provinces. Because imagine, UPND has lost Northern Muchinga, Luapula, Copperbelt, Lusaka, they have lost Central, they have lost Eastern. So they have lost 7 provinces. Now ask yourself, how does someone who has lost 7 provinces win an election by just winning 3 provinces where the turnout was just around 50%? So if we say the turnout was around 50%, it means their strongholds put together and we give them their results, they would have somewhere like 900,000, 800,000. And then when you get that amount and you add to what they were losing in all these 7 provinces, even if Mundubile was just leading by 200 in any of these provinces, we would have 1.4 million people above them. So if you remove the 700, it still leaves him with 700. As a matter of fact, from the PVT that we have seen, using the people who've been sending the results, Mundubile has won by more than 500,000. And that is the reason why they are now trying to see how can they staff this. But it is a very big job. So to do it, they need intimidation. Secondly, they need actual ballots, which they need to take to those places, and they need to count those together with the ballots which have already been counted. No wonder yesterday, if you paid attention, they had stopped issuing out the Gen 20, because when you issue the Gen 20, that is proof that this is the number. But if you don't issue it, then you can as well get a new Gen 20 and put any number there. But we are able to see all these shenanigans happening around, and we know that the ECZ is already a corrupted institution that doesn't live up to the standard. But the best they can do is just realize that Zambia has got only one country, and we've got one Zambia and one nation. If this Zambia is lost today, and I can tell you, it starts just like this. Ambassador, there is what we call, there is what we say acclimatization, or we call, you know, there is something
Before
that
you
we
go
call
there,
in-
Doc, before you go there, let me just take this call. We held Dr. Chimbakambwili earlier. He says he wants to do some clarification. Let me just hear from him.
Hello, Amwamba.
And some kwa mwabwela yama landeni po.
But I forgot to mention one thing. It is reported, whether right or wrong, that the military are the ones who picked up Brian Mundubile, isn't it?
It's confirmed. I confirmed
Yeah,
it
it's
here.
confirmed.
Yeah.
Now, you see, in the morning I was listening to some voice recording from Sia1, the Nigerian guy who has been supporting the UPND. And of course, we know that he has not been supporting the UPND for nothing. He has been supporting the UPND in return of something, it is alleged. Now, in this recording, he was telling somebody that the military must be asked to take the lead in sorting out PF members and the NRIUP members and NRIUP officials. Particularly, he spoke about Jean Chisenga, one of the aspiring MPs in Wapula, who was very vigilant in making sure that anything to do with illegality was curtailed. And in his recording, he was saying the army must take charge and they are doing a very good job, and we should make sure that the army goes on the street because the police will not manage, and make sure that these even NRIUP people should not even vote. They should be arrested and be confined. Now, really, what country are we running where a foreigner can be instructing the state to unleash the army on its citizenry? This is very, very unfortunate. And from where I'm sitting, I can really see that his advice to the state has now been put into motion. And this arrest of Mundubile by the army is as a result of what Sia1 said. Really, how can you allow a foreigner? How can you allow a foreigner? How can you allow a foreigner to be giving instructions to the state and the state follows those instructions? It's very unfortunate. I'm sure you must have come across these two voice recordings.
Wakalamba, on this program, we've discussed Sia1 several times. When Brian Mundubile and Makebi were in Solwezi, Sia1 said, why are you allowing him stone him? And when they moved to Western Province, Brian Mundubile were stoned. And everything, when he said the police, why are you allowing Brian to do road shows? There should be no road shows for Brian Mundubile. When they tried to do a road show in Kalabo, they were stopped by the police. It's like, you know, here we were joking that it appears like Sia1 is the president, and President Hakainde Hichilema is de facto. Because everything Sia1 says, here in those audios that have gone viral, he was urging the military to handle this matter. And see, we saw the military on the street. We saw the military, militarized vehicles for the first time in a peacetime. Militarized vehicles on the street in Chingola, in Mufulira, and so Sia1 really has a sway on this government, a huge sway. You can't dismiss him.
What I urge you, Amwamba, is to play those videos so that the people can see what is going on, can hear what is going on. Because when we talk like this, people may think that we are joking. I'm sure you've come across those two, and I would urge you to play those two.
Let me look for them. I think I saw them yesterday, but on this forum, let me look for them quickly. But we've discussed him, that whatever he directs his government, it happens.
Yeah, just play those recordings so that the listeners can be able to make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me look for it. Doc, you need to report to your station. Your last remarks, and then I'll see you at breakfast.
Yeah, so Ambassador, what I wanted to say is this. You see, the police are the law enforcers. The military, their job is not within the country, is to protect the country from invaders, either from within or outside. No one at this point is trying to invade Zambia. Zambians are just exercising their democratic rights. The military are not even trained to interrogate an individual. Imagine when there was that case for treason for Hakainde. If they used the military, today Hakainde would have been on BBC, would have been on CNN talking. But they used the police because the police are the ones who are supposed to handle such issues. It's a civil issue. If they saw an issue with the videos that Mundubile had made, they were supposed to report him to police, and the police were supposed to go to Mundubile, give him a call out, and then they question him on that. There was no reason to go and pick him up like a criminal. There was no reason to use the military. For me, just the fact that they use the military, everyone, meaning Zambian, should condemn this, because there is no military who is going to come and meet you and greet you, sir, can I talk to you? No. They used brutal force, and we have this information. It was brutal. They bundled them in the car. They took, including the daughter. How do you even get someone's daughter? For what? So what are they trying to achieve? This is about intimidation. And you wouldn't be surprised tomorrow if you were to see something about Mundubile on his page trying to be apologetic. Don't even listen to that. That won't be Mundubile. It's just people trying now to manipulate things. So Zambians should be vigilant. And my last wishes, my last statement, Ambassador, is that let's urge all those our followers, the followers for Tonse and NRPUP and everyone who loves Mundubile. Make sure that you keep calm, because if you make a mistake of going on the streets, you start doing anything, this man who is Hakainde Hichilema is going to now call for another action, which may even end up nullification of the results and nullification of elections. Remember, this is the same man who said there are lacunas in the constitution which can allow him not to have elections. So he can use any opportunity to try and play with the constitution. He can cancel elections, he can do anything. So people should not fall into this trap. Instead, let us go and protect the vote, because this is the time they are rigging. I can assure you, if they had already rigged, they wouldn't have arrested Mundubile. If they had already won, they wouldn't have arrested Mundubile. But because they still lost, so there is still room. If we can protect the votes, we have already won, and Mundubile will come out. He will be stronger. And with what Mundubile is going through, no one has gone through this in our country. That's why we should avoid this from happening again. Bitter people should never be allowed near State House, because that State House has got a lot of power. And when somebody has got a lot of power, you need someone who is shrewd. You need somebody who can control their temperament. We can't have, like what Bakambwili has said, for instance. How do you allow a sovereign nation to be controlled by somebody so useless, Bamwamba, who even me, I can't compare myself to such a person. You think of it like, who is this person? But that person, mind you, he talks to Hakainde. That person instructs our military. That person instructs the police. A very useless chap. So we can't allow that to happen. That's why we need this change to happen. It's not going to be easy, but it will be done. Thank you.
Zambians, according to the results received and compiled through our parallel voter tabulation, PVT, based on information transmitted to us from polling stations and totaling centers across the country, our tabulation indicates that we have won this election. We have won this election both at presidential level and majority seats in Parliament. We therefore view the continued delay in the transparent announcement and verification of presidential results with grave concern. The pattern of reports reaching us raises legitimate fears that this delay could create an opportunity for interference with or manipulation of the results. We call for the immediate publication of the results in accordance with the law and for all stakeholders to be given access to the relevant electoral records so that the will of the Zambian people can be independently verified. We have received deeply troubling reports from several parts of the country which require urgent explanation by the Electoral Commission of Zambia and relevant authorities. In Mufurila, for example, we have received reports that members of the military have taken control of certain totaling centers and that Gen 20 forms are allegedly being removed. These reports must be addressed immediately. Electoral materials are not the property of any political party, government officials, or security institutions. They are part of the official record of the sovereign decision made by the Zambian people. Presidential ballots are counted at polling station level alongside other elections, and presidential results are therefore available to party agents through prescribed electoral documentation. It should consequently surprise no one that our agents and structures have been able to obtain results from across the country and establish a clear trend through our PVT. We are equally concerned about reported incidents involving ballot boxes in Chawama and Matero constituencies. Any allegation of ballot boxes being unlawfully removed, stolen, interfered with, or transported outside established electoral procedures must be investigated immediately and transparently. Those responsible, if these allegations are established, must be held accountable under the law. In Northwestern Province, we have received reports that returning officers and presiding officers have been instructed to stop issuing results and Gen 20 forms. If confirmed, such conduct would be wholly unacceptable. Election results belong to the people. Party agents and other persons entitled by law to receive electoral records must not be denied to them. In Northern Province, we have further received disturbing reports concerning the alleged involvement of a senior government official in the movement of government ballot boxes, including allegations that officers transporting ballot boxes to a totaling center have been instructed to pass through the official's residence before proceeding to the designated center. These allegations are extremely serious and demand immediate investigation. No ballot box should be diverted from legally prescribed chain of custody. I would like to issue a timely warning to my dear sister, Deputy PS Undi in Kasama, who has been mentioned in this particular case. So my dear sister Undi, stop what you're doing. Let the will of the Zambian people prevail. I therefore call upon the Electoral Commission of Zambia to act decisively and transparently. Preserve every ballot, preserve every Gen 20 form and other electoral record. Protect the chain of custody. Allow accredited political party agents and observers to perform their lawful functions. Publish the results, polling station by polling station, and constituency by constituency, so that every figure announced can be reconciled against the original records. I equally call upon men and women in uniform to remember that their loyalty is to the Constitution and the Republic of Zambia, not to any individual, political party, or temporary holder of public office. The institutions of the state must remain impartial. Their responsibility at this critical moment is to protect the people, electoral officials, and electoral materials, and not to interfere with the democratic process. To our party agents, monitors, supporters, and citizens across the country, remain peaceful, vigilant, and within the law. Protecting the vote does not mean engaging in violence or confronting security personnel. It means documenting results, preserving copies of lawful electoral records, reporting irregularities through the appropriate channels, and insisting peacefully upon transparency. To those administering this election, I say this: Zambia is bigger than all of us. Governments come and go, but the republic remains. No temporary political advantage is worth damaging the institutions upon which our democracy depends. If the official results differ from the results recorded at polling stations, the answer is not a secrecy. The answer is transparency. Put the records before the nation and allow every number to be reconciled. The people of Zambia voted. Their decision must be respected. This is the moment of patriotism, restraint, and courage. Let every Zambian who's been entrusted with the people's vote discharge their responsibility faithfully. Let us be patriots. Let us protect the vote peacefully and lawfully. Let us defend the sovereign will of the Zambian people. I will at this juncture call upon the international community and all stakeholders, including international monitors, to take specific interest on the issues that I've raised in this statement, so that we have a transparent and accountable process throughout this election. We expect that the stakeholders will immediately engage Electoral Commission of Zambia so that they provide the answers that the Zambian people need. I will also urge the Electoral Commission of Zambia to immediately address the nation, updating them on the issues that we've raised in this statement, so that every Zambian remains peaceful, every Zambian remains
Zambia Decides 2026. Zambia Decides 2026. Zambia Decides 2026.
Team, thank you very much. We've been running with the story of the detention of Brian Mundubile. Remember, there were speculative stories around Brian Mundubile, whether he was picked up or not. There was an early story that was picked up and was taken to Ibex Hill. That's an old video from the first time the police picked him up from the airport, and that's what caused confusion and sowed seeds of doubt in the story. But later, just before I came to broadcast, we had established the facts that had since taken place in the afternoon. Honorable Brian Mundubile and his team went to meet the observer mission, the African Union / COMESA observer mission. Remember, these missions have been meeting various delegations of members of the opposition and members of civil society. So today, Brian Mundubile was meeting the African Union and COMESA. It appears it's from there that he was trailed to his safe house on Kudu Road, where then within minutes a horde of military police vehicles came and a horde of military officers came, and they're the ones that handled this matter. They were extremely brutal, that I can confirm from witness accounts. And they picked him up and the entire members of the family that were there. We understand that our brother Patrick Mwansa, who is the husband to Tasila Lungu, was also present. And there have been reports that one of the bodyguards could have been, his life could have been taken during the so-called operation. It was very brutal. But they were taken first to service headquarters, and we understand now they are in Arakan barracks. The only civilian people could identify was an officer, police officer, Akushumbwa, I think he's Akushumbwa from service headquarters. He's the only civilian police officer they could identify. But the others were soldiers that had come. And apparently there were two contingents. We established that there was another group that was waiting for him at his commercial office off Zambezi Road in Kalundu. As an office there. Those are the facts that we've been dealing with. We'll be going to join ECZ. They had announced that they'll be broadcasting at 22 hours. We'll check if they will. If they don't, we'll come back to the debate, and I'm going to open the phone lines.
Zambia Decides 2026. 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 Zambia decides 2026.
kindly share the broadcast. Urgent message. Family or followers of Brian Mundubile, share the message. Quickly, share the message. I'm going to put Honorable Brian Mundubile on the phone immediately. Tell each other, alert, quickly. Honorable Brian Mundubile, good evening.
Good evening to you, Guillaume. Good evening.
Good evening. Please share from the time we understand that you left the African Union Observer Commission.
Yes, that should have been around 17 hours. We left the meeting at Pamosi with the SADC, observer missions.
Who were in the entourage with you?
I was with Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, Honorable George Chisanga, Bishop Trevor Mwamba. We were with Tasila's husband, Patrick Mwansa. Of course, I was with my bodyguard, Richard Banda. I was with my driver, Mutambo, and a few other security people. Shortly after we got home along Kudu Road in Kabulonga, the security came to tell me that our yard in Roma, where we normally park our equipment, was raided by some soldiers. Some soldiers had surrounded the yard in Roma. So I was trying to make some phone calls to get some people to go there and wonder why the soldiers should surround our yard. Then the bodyguard came back and said, as a matter of fact, even this place has been surrounded. They had some commandos who were outside. And before long, these people accessed the yard, breaking everything along the way. Of course, we locked the doors, trying to secure ourselves. We made a few phone calls in the hope that, some people would show up.
Yes.
They began to break down windows and doors until they accessed the house. Now, in the process, Honorable Kafwaya, myself and my wife were in the master bedroom. We had locked away the kids in the other room. So these guys had already, I don't know how many people were shot at. I don't know who was being shot at. But somehow they managed to break the door to the master bedroom. And we had locked ourselves in the walk-in wardrobe. So the moment they got in, two guys came in. And when they saw Kafwaya sitting in a corner, really, and immediately opened fire. Kafwaya was shot at twice,
Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya was shot at twice.
Oh, he was shot at twice in my presence. My wife was watching. Then they turned to where I was because I had, slid beneath the table. They actually fired twice. If you were to see me now, I wouldn't want to go live.
Yes.
Some of the debris that was coming from the bullet that hit the wall is actually in my hair now. So my wife was standing in the wardrobe, sprung out. She couldn't hold it. She thought I'd actually been hit. She's the one that saved me. And at that point, they began to drag us out. All of us were dragged out. It took a while because we were asked to crawl. We're being stepped on like animals, like common criminals. I didn't fear to address them. I told them, I said, I have committed no crime. The only crime I've committed is to present myself for the leadership of this country, to serve the poor Zambians, including yourselves that are. So each time I said that, they hit me, and I said, I'll not stop talking, because the Lord that I worship should enter your hearts for you to see that what you're doing is wrong. So anyway, the long and the short of it is, after an hour's ordeal, they eventually got us in vehicles. My wife and the three kids and my niece were put behind the pickup. I was put and guarded in one of the vehicles.
Honorable Mundubile, just mention who was your children. Just mention the names. It's very important for all of us because we are recording this and we are live.
Yes. So besides my wife, there was Malumbo, Tulumbe, and Natasha, and our niece Winnie. And there was my nephew, Francis Mulenga, in addition to the other names that I mentioned. So we were all taken.
Yes.
I can account for my daughters, my niece and my wife now. I can't account for George Sanga. I don't know whether Mtoto Kafwaya is alive. I can't account for Richard Banda, my bodyguard, and my driver, Mutambo, and the rest of them. I cannot account for them.
Yeah, so
And
it's
Patrick
really sad.
Mwansa.
But I saw him alive as at the time they were putting us in vehicles and driving away. That I can confirm. I saw that he was being put to the car. He was alive. The others, I didn't see them, so I can't account for them.
Thank you. Yeah, proceed.
So it's very difficult to know what these soldiers wanted. For us, as far as we're concerned, it was a clear assassination. There was nothing more. We don't know what held them back. Maybe because I constantly talked about the God that I worship. Yeah, but there's nothing less. That was a pure assassination. Because what have we done? What have we done? Okay? I mean, why the military? Why the military? I mean, not less than 50, 60 military officers. Up to now,
Honorable Mundubile, just a minute. Where were you taken? I want the story to how you are where you are, because we need to send people maybe to where you are. But first, kindly tell us how you moved.
We were taken to service headquarters. For some reason, they couldn't find the keys to the room they wanted to take us to. Then later we're driven to the command center. It was at the command center that one officer asked me where I wanted to go. I said to him, look, you just got me out of the house and you've broken down everything in that house. The kids are traumatized. Take me to Ibexhill. So we debated and later agreed on where they should drop us. And that's how they dropped us. So I later gave him a list of George Sanga and the rest of them to say, look, there's similar circumstance. The fact that you let me go, you have no reason to hold those people. So that, but we don't know where they are, is the fact.
I received an urgent call from Jackson Mutioka's wife and Chewe. Were they with you? These are some of your bodyguards.
Jackson Mutioka?
And Mr. Chewe. No.
Yes, they were with us. They may have been with us, but I haven't seen them.
Okay. But Banda was with you. Was Banda shot, as you have seen, because you are saying Honorable Mutioka was shot twice?
Yeah. Jackson, I think, I saw Jackson. He's remained at the command center.
Okay.
I didn't see Chewe. Jackson I saw he's remained at the command center. Yeah. So, Comrade Mwamba, it's very sad. This is not the Zambia that people yearn for. I didn't ever think we could get to this.
And honestly, who has been released? Is Mrs. Mundubile with you? Are the twins, are your kids with you? Who has been released to your knowledge?
No, so far it's just me and my family. I don't know about the other people, and I should not know, what really, why they were holding us. So I don't even know who's still being held.
We saw a Facebook post that stated that they were. Did you make that Facebook post? A lot of people were very concerned about that Facebook post.
Which one?
There's a Facebook post that talked about that you were being held by the military and that you were all fine. But from what you've described, we could have lost some lives. You were tortured. You were brutally beaten. You were made to crawl.
Yes, somebody has to make a statement as to how many people have been killed. There was a lot of gunfire in that yard. The neighbors around there can attest to that. If you go there now, there's still 3 military land cruisers at that house. I went back. I said, because we just dropped somewhere. Of course, we wouldn't give details.
Yeah, please don't.
We needed to access a vehicle. We needed to access one of the vehicles. So we went there. Of course, heavily guarded. They led us into the bedroom. My goodness, everything has been ransacked. You wouldn't want to.
They've ransacked your house literally, and probably any valuables taken.
Of course, there was money. I would not want to mention value. A lot of money that has been picked from there. They've taken advantage of the phones. A number of phones that belong to my daughters, my wife. Everything is gone. Okay. Yeah, the valuables, the ladies with jewelry and everything is gone. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So before I let you go for your own safety and for us to coordinate this off the camera, you issued a very powerful statement this morning, probably that has attracted this fierce response from the state, that you demanded that election results be announced, and you stated that you had won elections. You just speak to that and to the millions of Zambians that voted for you.
Well, first of all, Emmanuel, people should not misunderstand power of voter tabulation. Okay? If one speaks to their PVT, they are not declaring themselves winner. They are not declaring themselves winner. They are simply saying, according to our power of voter tabulation, we are winning this election. And then very quickly, I proceeded to say, we call upon the ECZ to announce the results so that we can verify. Okay? That was the position. And, so if that statement, excited people, it's most unfortunate, because you have your own tabulation. Yes. Your tabulation can be inaccurate, it can be accurate. So when you discover that the official results from the ECZ are different from the ones that you have, then you engage, because you have an issue. You are saying to the ECZ, according to the polling stations and according to these Gen 20s, this is our tally. How are you finding a different number? And you begin to go through. That's the whole purpose. Yes.
Okay. Before again I let you go, how do you see this process, and how confident are you that from what you stated, what do you see the outcome of these elections? It's so sad that we're already fearing for Honorable Mutotwe Kafuaya's life, who was shot, and you said you saw it and he was bleeding profusely. Just kindly speak to that before I let you go and speak to you privately.
No, well, what I want to say, first of all, I want to call for peace and calm. Amid all this confusion that is going, I want to call for peace and calm. Our resolve is that we don't destroy our own country. Zambia has to survive. Zambia, as a republic, has got to survive. And every Zambian must take responsibility to ensure that order is restored. We know that we have observer missions. We had very fruitful meetings with them today. We've done a number of engagements with other foreign stakeholders on this particular matter. And one of the things that they guided was, look, in the position that I am, I have to be very careful with what I say.
Correct.
Okay, and so that people do not misunderstand it. For now, I can call for peace and calm. We already aired our concerns with the observer missions. One of the concerns that we had was that before ECZ vacated the area position, we wanted them to continue counting and announcing these votes. That was our position. Secondly, we had made a very earnest appeal to say there is no need for the army to be involved in this particular process. The army was involved at Mulungushi. They're involved on the street. Just now, I was picked by a group of army soldiers. Okay? So it's unprecedented. Our elections are managed by integral security. The police manage these particular electoral processes. We wonder why now they must involve the army. Why is the army involved? So the presence of the army, the presence of the armored vehicles for the army are escalating the tension in most of these areas. And we are saying, for the sake of Zambia, can the army be withdrawn from the compounds? Can they be withdrawn from Mulungushi so that the regular police is deployed to take care of the situation? EM, if you remember, 2021 was a very violent election. Nothing compared to this election. And the measures that people would want to put in place now, there is no situation to merit that, unfortunately. There is no situation to merit the deployment of these officers in these particular areas. Yeah, so to our supporters, you have made your position known. You have voted. Your vote has been counted. And since your vote has been counted, it was counted and announced somewhere and recorded somewhere. So for now, we'll wait upon the ECZ to ensure that the votes are announced as was recorded in the beginning, and that they make sure they do this speedily so that they do not excite the people who may be anxious at this stage.
Thank you very much. The whole country has been, the anxieties were so high. We're all praying for you. We are all very gripped with sadness and fear for you. We are glad that you are okay. We pray for those that were with you.
I don't know if I'm okay, Manu. I had to call you because we don't know how the night will end.
True.
Before we walk to safety, we looked for your number. A good Samaritan gave us your number. I'm sure you know what we've been through the past 20 minutes to get your number.
Yes.
We needed the world to know because we don't even know whether we'll be able to drive 1 kilometer away from where we are. Exactly. So that's the reason why we called. We want the Zambian people to know the truth. And the truth is that we were raided. We were almost killed. I don't know how many people have been killed from the group that I was with.
Yeah, we thank God for the gift of life. We thank God and we pray for you Zambians. Pray for Brian Mundubile and his wife and his family. They've been released. They've been released to a place that is still not safe. And the gruesome matters have gone through. Literally, this is an assassination plot. And there are people that are feared dead in his entourage. And so you will allow me to speak to Brian Mundubile and coordinate with the others that need to reach him urgently. Thank you.
Zambia Decides 2026. 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 Zambia Decides 2026.
Thank you, family, for all those joining us. You've heard just the harrowing details regarding the assassination attempt on Honorable Brian Munduvile and the number of soldiers that raided his house. He's fearing for the life of Mutotwe Kafwaya, and he says he's also very worried about George Sanga. Those two names kept on coming out through the broadcast. He's been released with his wife and family, but the people around him, the political people, kindly do not call now, because I'm calling Honorable Makebi Zulu, the running mate, and I want him to connect. So please don't call. Just don't call. You are disturbing a lot of things. Please don't call. My appeal is don't call. There is something major we want to do here. Please don't call. I plead. Don't call. Don't call. You miss. Just wait. Just wait. Kindly don't call. Kindly don't call. I'm using the same phone to reach out to who I want. I need to speak to Honorable Makebi Zulu. Sir David from Mongu. Cut that line. Thank you very much. I think I've connected. Honorable Makebi Zulu, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm literally shaking. I'm traumatized from the story I've heard from Honorable Brian Munduvile, and just what has happened to him in the last few hours is extremely traumatizing. I don't know if you were listening.
Yes, I was listening. I'm in tears right now. And I didn't think that we could, as a country, degenerate to these levels over an election. And I thank God that President Munduvile is a patriot, and he's taken time to calm everyone down. Yes, we only have one Zambia, and should these results be in favor of President Munduvile, you obviously wouldn't want to superintend over ashes or indeed put the country on fire. We love this nation. We have worked for responsibility over this nation and not to create enemies. We are not enemies in politics. We are just people competing for responsibility. And because we are competing for responsibility, we should not degenerate to these levels where guns are shot at people. These threats seemed like a joke this whole time we're campaigning, but today they've been proven real. That this time around, it is the military that is taking charge of arresting people. And in fact, one wonders whether the army has got powers of arrest. It's literally an abduction. And it should never be like this in a civilized state. I did post today and said, we are for the first time seeing.
When did you learn that that Brian Mundubile was not okay? You were not together at the African Union Commission to meet observer missions?
No, we're not together at that particular time.
Okay.
But the time I intended to reach him, I reached out to someone who was going to meet him, but when they got close to the house, they found a military vehicle that had a lot of military personnel. They found 4 Land Cruisers there and a lot of military personnel at his property. Of course, the military personnel went to question them as to what exactly they were doing in that neighborhood. And for their own safety, of course, they did say that we live around here and went and parked somewhere. And it was in that conversation, in that talk, that they witnessed what was being done and what was happening to President Mundubile and his wife, how that they were being stepped on, how they were bundled and thrown into the car, how that they heard gunshots prior to that. And it's on that information that I did post on my page to say this is what has happened to his wife and to himself, the fact that they were being stepped on. Of course, we didn't want to be graphic in the exposure because we were frantically looking for him, trying to find exactly where he is. And the next thing was that statement that was saying, I'm being interrogated in the barracks. That is not the language of President Mundubile, and we knew that there was something wrong. And President Mundubile would never attend an interrogation without a lawyer. And he knows very well that that was possibly just put there to try and calm the situation, or indeed to assure people that he was okay. But as a matter of fact, he was not okay from the description, the graphic description that were given. We are not going to put our country on fire. We should not even entertain the idea of putting the country on fire. We need to pray for this nation. We need healing in this nation. We need God to intervene right about now, because the levels that we have gotten to are unprecedented. Never for the life of me did I think that the military would be superintending over elections. In Fulira, they took over a totaling center. They've been moving around as though it's a war zone. This is not a war zone. We've had elections before, and the level of intimidation was never to this extent. But if it takes for us to sacrifice for our country to have hope again, President Mundubile and I are ready. And I hear that they have indicated that they are looking for me. I can guarantee them that I'm around, I'm available. If they need me, even as early as now, I'm willing to go there so that we have an interaction with them. They say what exactly they want, and we answer if at all there are any things to be answered. If they want us tomorrow, let them say so.
Yeah, what would be the message to the Zambian people? You are, Brian Mundubile is a leading candidate in this election. You as running mate, and the announcement that was made in the day by Honorable Brian Mundubile, recognizing that the parallel voter tabulation had indicated that they had won the elections. What would be your message to the millions that are listening, to the Zambians that voted for Brian Mundubile and yourself because you are a ticket? What would be your message?
See, the message is very plain and clear. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. For as long as God is on the throne, no one has a right over anyone's life. And for as long as God is on the throne, one day, if not soon, Zambia will be free again. What we have been subjected to over the last few years, and particularly over this period, is degrading and it's inhumane. And no human being should have to suffer that. If it has to take for us to be the last ones to suffer in this manner, we are willing to do so. Even if we suffer this much, at the moment when we are declared to have won this election, it will not be a governance of vengeance. It's a very painful period. And we want to assure the Zambian people that we are ready to lead. And being ready to lead, even President Hakainde Hichilema should not feel bad or feel as though we'll get into government for vengeance. Ours is for reconciliation. Ours is for forgiveness. What we call for now is that, please, release Honorable Kafwaya. Allow him to access his family. Allow him to access medical attention. All those others that were with them, if there's any that's injured, if they have been put in custody anyway, please may they be in lawful custody and be able to be reachable, the lawyers to reach them, the families to reach them. That is what our forefathers fought for, so that we can have independence, so that we can have a constitution that guarantees the rights of every person. What happened to Honorable Brian Mundubile and the family, as well as those that were with him, is inhuman and degrading, something that our constitution frowns upon. It is a breach of the constitution by our institutions of governance. Let us not save individuals. Let us save the republic. Let us save the Zambian people. Let us be a country that follows the law, the rule of law and not men. Not to satisfy the ego of any person who may be afraid of losing power, but to do what is right. We are available at any given time. If you ask President Mundubile to come to any facility for questioning, he will certainly be there. He has never defied any order or call out. And we are not about to start now. We'll make ourselves available at any given time without having to run away from our own homes or indeed being pulled out of a hole like a rat. We will not subject ourselves to that. Neither are we willing to subject any other person to that kind of treatment. Let us reconcile. Let us have peace. Let us have unity as one Zambia and one nation.
Honorable Makebe Zulu, thank you very much, and thank you for quickly responding to us. Please let us discuss offline for the emergency issues that we need to deal with.
Thank you so much.
Just hold on, sir.
Zambia Decides 2026. 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 Zambia Decides 2026.
I want to apologize to Southern Province. I want to apologize to the Westerners, my Mbuyes, and everybody else, for bringing you a man who should not have been in the first place at the expense of this man here. I want to apologize to you, Sakwiba Skota, because it should have been you. My considerations were only financial, so that the party lives on. I didn't know that we would have this character of a person for the leadership of this beautiful country. Honorable Mundubile, the spirit of Anderson Mazoka is in you today. You have joined us. May the people of Southern Province understand what this means. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. As we come to the end of the program, my fellow Southerners, we are voting using the mark X. Our friends are proposing a tick. We do not know where that has come from. What the law provides is an X. Cross against a candidate of your choice. And in this particular case, Nipe Lampi, you mark X. Please do not help those that have landed pre-marked ballot papers with a tick by also, voting with a tick. Stick to the X.
Nobana musanza tuyaguho tamazuba imahonto abo ibagisi miyaga yonse hotel wa ballot ibanda kuti wabikwe igagaya gali mbuli busu lya Nike kakukwenyuna amujigagejo kamutajerede.
Family, thank you very much for joining us. The remarks that have been made by Honorable Brian Mundubile following, this assassination attempt on his life, and the remarks by by his running mate, Makebi Zulu. I want us to end this broadcast and give me some minutes to prepare. Then we're going to run what they said as you heard them. I was caught unawares. I just picked the phone like I pick all your calls. And there was Honorable Brian Mundubile. I couldn't believe it. So let us end this broadcast, and I'll return to come and run where we can get excerpts from what Honorable Brian Mundubile narrated to his harrowing experience this evening. Just a summary is that they stormed, his safe house on Kudu Road, and the military soldiers, and they shot at them. You heard the narration yourself. He himself, from what he could see, is fearing for the life of Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya. Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya is former Lunte MP in Mporokoso, and you know him is a very media friendly person, especially on issues of finance, economics, and that kind of politics. He fears for Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya. He also feared for George Sanga's life, but especially Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya. He said he had been shot twice, and then the way they were dragged from their bedroom, including his spouse and children, 12-year-old twins, and they were being dragged on the floor up to the vehicles, and you heard all this. And there have been reports about a bodyguard that has died. From his narration and from what he saw, he kept on saying Mtoto Kafwaya. I think from what he saw, the one in the event that maybe something happened to the bodyguard earlier, because they were in the house, and when they had these people trying to storm down the gate, they secured themselves in the bedroom. And this is where these soldiers came, and shooting and beating and literally brutalizing them. You have all those details. So I want us to prepare what they said, and you hear for yourself. So I'll end this broadcast. Of importance is that he has called for peace. He has called for calm among all you followers. And he has said he wouldn't want to be president over the ashes of our country. And he says, let us, all of you have some form, you know what you voted for. You have some Gen 20 forms out there, and you know we have these PVTs that were run. And he's still putting his faith in the ECZ. Can you imagine? He says, let us wait for ECZ to announce its results. So we'll be back just to play the two audios from both Honorable Makebi Zulu and Honorable Brian Mundubile. Another matter is he demanded for the release of the others. He doesn't know the fate of Patrick Mwansa. He feared for George Sanga and Mtoto Kafwaya, and he has said, you've released me and my family, but release everyone. I think that was another call he kept on repeating. So family, will be back in a short while. Just allow me to prepare that broadcast.
Be